Good morning everybody and welcome to our maths lesson on geometrical shapes. Follow me, your remote learning bot, to learn what to do on each of the slides. Tap one of the videos to listen to the instructions. This is a maths task that I have made in Keynote, and it is supposed to be an asynchronous learning task by using a video that I screen recorded using MeasureKit and the face mesh feature. I screen recorded myself giving instructions and then edited these videos in iMovie before putting them onto the Keynote. This way, students can listen to the instructions of what they need to do on each of the slides. This is an interesting way to be doing asynchronous instructions, especially if you're not very comfortable with being in an online meeting or recording clips of yourself for students to be watching at home. The face mesh feature in MeasureKit attaches to your face and moves with your face, eyes, and mouth. When you use screen recording with this, you can capture the audio of you speaking, and it creates a very interesting asynchronous learning remote learning bot. I'll take you through some of the slides and show you bits of the instructions, but I won't show you the full instruction video, as this Keynote is available to download. I'll explain what students need to do on the different slides. The first activity is on plane shapes or 2D shapes. Use the YouTube link in the presenter notes to watch a short video on what plane shapes are. Use the Keynote to complete the activities on the different slides. Look for the shape in the top left, a square. Can you find a shape in your house that is a square? The students can use the information on each slide to complete the different activities. What you want students to do is try and find a square object around their house and take a photo of it using the placeholder. Now they can tap on the plus and take a photo directly using the placeholder, or they can import from their camera roll. This is a great activity to get the students up and looking for different objects around their house. They can take a photo of their object using the camera, or they can use the placeholder to access their camera and take a photo through there. What we would like students to do in this section is to access the drawing function and use their Apple Pencil to draw over or trace over their object to define the shape. So they can access the drawing function by tapping plus in the top right hand corner or double tapping the screen with their Apple Pencil. It's a good idea to change a colour to something that's going to be easily seen. You might like to get the students to use the drawing function to write in how many sides there are of their object. So they can write in 1, 2, 3, 4. And they can even use their Apple Pencil to fill in the question on the right hand side. Students can answer the questions by either double tapping in the box and typing their answer, or going up to the plus in the top right hand corner and choosing record audio and then explaining their shape. Part of the task is to get students to describe their object and where they are in their house and who owns them, just as a little bit of fun, and it adds a bit of personality and interactivity into the task. So it's not just a maths task about shapes. So tap the record audio feature. Think about what you are going to say first and then tap the record button. So students might say something like, "This Harry Potter book belongs to my sister. She is obsessed with Harry Potter and she has Harry Potter posters all over her bedroom. She reads this book at least once a month." Press stop when you are finished recording and then tap insert in the top right hand corner and move your speaker into the space. Now the last two questions are using outside apps, Measure and MeasureKit. These are optional and you don't have to get students to do these. So with measure, we're going to be using AR to measure the length of our object. And with measure kit, we're going to be doing a bit of a LiDAR scan of our object. Get students to do a screen recording of both and then add the short clips into the placeholders. Get the students to use screen recording to take a video of themselves using the Measure app and attempting to measure out their object. Don't worry if they don't get it right the first time. You can see that it's taken me a few attempts to try to get the ruler to show the length of this Harry Potter book. When you move closer, you can see more detail of the measurement. Watching the student using the Measure app is a great way for you to judge how they're going with this task. And you can see that my measurement is quite wonky there. I might need to have another go at this. You can also take a photo and it will give you the measurements automatically. Tap the 3 lines to get more detailed and accurate measurements of your image. After the students have created their screen recording using Measure to find out the length of their objects, they can use the placeholder by tapping plus to access their camera roll and then importing in their clip. The next activity is with Measure Kit. The students need to use this to try and create an AR or LiDAR scan of their object. It might take them a bit to figure out what to do. Just watching what students are doing and seeing how they use the app is a good way to assess them, especially when you can't be there in person to see how they're doing these activities. Get the students to have a go at using Measure Kit and see if they can create a scan of their object. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, it's just having a go and actually seeing what this new technology can do. Then once they've created that clip, they can put it into their keynote. After students have created their clip in Measure Kit, they can access the placeholder by tapping on the plus and then finding their clip in their camera roll and tapping use. Then they have completed this slide and they can move on to the next shape and keep going through all the different shapes until they get up to the solid or 3D shapes. The second activity is on solid shapes or 3D shapes, which is what I am. Use the slides on the keynote again to complete the activities. Look in the top left-hand corner for the different shapes. See if you can find these around your home again. Some of these might be a little bit more tricky and you'll have to look hard to find these ones. Watch the YouTube clip on 3D shape. A cube. Can you find an object in your house that is a cube? Now these activities are similar to the 2D shapes. The students use the placeholder to take a photo of their 3D object. Then they can either type or use the record audio function to explain about their shape. Again, they can give a little bit of detail about where the shape is in their house or who owns this particular object. Get students to find some interesting 3D shapes around their home and take a photo of them. You might want to give them some direction to try to make sure they can show that it is a 3D object and not a flat shape. When the students have taken their photo, they can access the placeholder by tapping plus and going into their camera roll and finding the image that they have taken and adding it into the placeholder. Access the drawing function by tapping plus in the top right-hand corner or double tapping the screen with your Apple Pencil. Get the students to trace over their 3D shape to define the edges and show that it is a 3D shape. Remind students to change the brush thickness and also choose a colour that's going to stand out on their object. They don't have to draw this perfectly, but just give it a go. They can use the record audio function to explain about this object and where it is located in their house or who owns it. Or they can double tap the box and access the keyboard to type in their answer. Let's use the record audio feature. Tap record audio. Remind students to think about what they're going to say before they say it, and then tap record down the bottom. This is my mum's marble textured canister, which lives in the kitchen. It's one of her favourite things, and she got it on sale at Kmart. Adding a little bit of a story behind the object helps to bring a little bit of personality and ownership of this task for students and makes it a little bit more fun and interesting for them. When they've finished recording, they can tap insert in the top right hand corner and move their speaker to where it needs to be. The next part of the task is for them to count the faces, edges and corners. Now, if they have watched the YouTube clip, which is on the instruction of the 3D page, they may already have an understanding of this, or you might have already done a bit of teaching beforehand to help them learn what the faces, edges and corners are. This table is linked to a larger table on the last slide, which contains all of the different shapes. So I'll just move down to that table. And you can see it's got all of our 3D shapes here, a cube, a cylinder, a rectangular prism, a cone and a pyramid. So I'm just going to type some random numbers in here to show you. So if I type 2, 6 and 6, now when I go to that last slide, it should have those numbers in there, which it does. And you can also see that it's got different colours on here. Now this table also has conditional highlighting rules on there. So if the students access the presenter notes, they can actually see the different conditional highlighting rules that are on this table. So it's telling us that the table will appear teal as the conditional highlighting rule is set to if a shape has less than one face, edge or corner. So that's 0. So before we even start, everything is teal. Then if a shape has less than 3 faces, edges or corners, conditional highlighting will turn the cell blue. Now, as we've got the first one, less than 1, that means that only if it's 1 or 2 is it going to change to blue. And then the last one is if a shape has more than 5 faces, edges or corners, conditional highlighting will turn the cell green. So we've got 2 6s in there. So what happens if it is 4 or 5? So if I type in here 4, 5 and 5 and then go back to this table, you can see that it's grey. Now this should help the students to easily see the different numbers, so when they come over to the right hand side, they can answer those questions quite quickly. Again, they can use the record audio function to record their answer or double tap the box to access the keyboard and type in their answer. The last question on this slide is for students to show the different plane shapes that make up the 3D shape by using the shapes in Keynote. So they can tap the plus in the top right hand corner and go to the shape menu and tap on basic. Now this is a cylinder, so the students need to figure out what shapes make up this cylinder. So when we add in the circle, don't forget to tap the paintbrush to colour in that circle so that we can see it. What we want students to do is draw on their knowledge from the 2D or plane shapes and show us what are the different shapes within this 3D shape, so that there are 2 circles and also a rectangle within the cylinder. The students can use the different shapes to show this. When the students have finished this keynote, they can send it back to you in many different ways. They might want to email it to you or upload it to the LMS. They could go into collaboration mode and get you to collaborate so you can work on it live, or you can have a look at their document. The students could use the screen recording mode and create a mini clip of their work and send it to you. Or they may want to upload this completed keynote to Seesaw. For our students using screen readers, we have added in alt text onto the placeholders so that the screen readers can read out a description of the placeholder. So if you tap on the placeholder and tap on the paintbrush and go to image, tap on description, and you can read a description of what this placeholder is. The screen reader will read this out to the student so they know what is there. There's also a description on the measure and the measure kit placeholder. It's a great idea to use these accessibility features for all of our students. This task is designed as a get-up activity for students who are doing remote learning from home, so that they aren't stuck in front of a screen for 6 hours a day, but they're actually using their technology to create something. They can go around their house and find different objects and use these in a maths geometrical shape task.